Hey guys, welcome back. So on today's very special episode of Sim Sunday, we're calling this Struggle Sim Sunday because this is the first speed build I've ever done, and it was a struggle for many reasons, and we'll get into that. But getting into the build here right away, you could see I already had started it a little bit, just figuring out the front part of the house before I'd actually started recording, but I guarantee you didn't miss much. It was pretty basic, just throwing up some walls, figuring out windows, etc. And struggle number one was figuring out this roof. Now, I was actually getting some inspiration from a Google image I had found. I had wanted to make a nice little starter home without the starter price, might I add, my apologies. But I wanted to do a nice little small starter home, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and I wanted it in more of a Craftsman kind of style, and so that's kind of what I went with here, and I'll put the link for the image that I was using as my inspiration in the description box if you're interested in seeing what the original house looked like. Now, granted, I had to make some tweaks and changes here and there because obviously the Sims can only accommodate so much as far as building and decorating and things like that go. But anyways, so this is where we're at, and now this is where I started having trouble, was with this little kind of upper story roof section, trying to make this work. And I really wanted it to work because I think it's such a neat feature to the front of the house. And I didn't eventually figure it out, but in real time it took some doing, and it was aggravating, I'm not gonna lie, but we got there eventually. So yeah, we're just kind of figuring out the rest of the roofs, which are the easy part, I mean, from here on out. And I put this house in Brindleton Bay because I just think the Craftsman style of home just fits in really well with the theme of Brindleton. And Brindleton is one of my favorite maps in this entire game, so I just love building on this map, and I love building houses in general, especially this style of house. I love building these styles of houses. I love the white accents on all of the roof lines and the whites on the windows, and just the whole dark gray and light gray kind of theme that we're going for, with the stone a little bit here and the kind of wall shingling. I think it just all goes really well together. So now that we've got the basic outline, outer shape of the house figured out, I'm just kind of finishing up some little changes here and there, making some little adjustments, making sure everything looks nice and even and symmetrical. I am so all about symmetry. It drives me nuts when things aren't symmetrical. And granted, sometimes it can make a build look really cool when it's not, just perfect squares absolutely everywhere. It just kind of adds some interest to builds sometimes. But there's just certain instances where lack of symmetry drives me absolutely crazy. And I'm super OCD about it. I've gotten better. I used to be really, really, really bad when it came to making sure things were symmetrical, and it's part of the reason why builds tend to take me so long, is because I'm just such a perfectionist, and I'm constantly tweaking and changing things in my builds, and it's just I'm learning. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get faster at building these damn things, because my god, there's only so many hours in a day, get it together. But yeah, now we're starting kind of on some cute little accents for the front of the house, just to add a little bit more detail and interest, and I moved the house onto more central on the front of the lot. I just kind of shifted it over a little bit. It was a little bit too far to the left, and moved it back also so it's not right up on the curb. And just popped a little bit of a ceiling in there on the front porch so that when you walk up the stairs, you're not just looking straight up into the other underside of the roof there, because you would have seen, ooh, it looks bad. Gotta make sure you put those ceilings there. Sorry if I'm saying a lot. Oh my god, seriously. So I'm putting some lighting in the front, putting a nice little front chair out there, just, you know, for your Sims to sit and have a nice morning coffee, you know, people watch. So this is the next struggle that I kind of happened upon. I really wanted to put stairs going up to up to that, learn to talk, little room up at the top there, that little second story room, because I was going to turn it into like a little office or like an artist studio. I mean, I could not make it work with the stairs and the layout of the house. They just didn't want to go anywhere that wasn't in the way, and it was really hard to figure out. So I just kind of got fed up and I just left it. I mean, I still like it up there. I painted the walls and put flooring in, and I just put one of those ceiling lights in there so that at least at night when everything's lit up and nice looking, it doesn't just look like a dark, dingy attic up there with nothing in it. I still want it to look like it's a lived-in room, even though there's really and truly nothing up there. But I mean, you could always, I'm sure, fix it and change the layout a bit to put some stairs there. I just couldn't be bothered after it wasn't working. Anyways, as you can see here, I did do some landscaping out front, putting some trees, plants, and things around the front of the house. Just off camera, I forgot that I wasn't filming, so my bad. But it's really simple stuff, like I didn't do anything crazy extravagant. And I did also change this front right window section. It was just like a pulled out flat wall. And then I decided I really wanted to put one of those like corner couch things in that area, and I couldn't make it work with the half walls as you saw, so I had to put full walls. And then I was like, why don't I just make this like a, you know, an angled front, not a veranda, but like one of those Victorian style rounded like out, I don't even know what you would call that, but just like the way it juts out is, instead of being square, it's a little bit more angled, and I think it just gives a lot more interest to the front of the house. And then I mean, I get to use the angled couches that I really love, and I love those corner couches so much. I wish I had one of those in like a nook in my real house, because I would love to just sit there and cozy up, like read a good book, like look outside, people watch as, you know, well, I mean, I don't have neighbors, so I can't really people watch, but just like look outside and read a book and be all cozy with all those pillows. And I really love it. And I think it just fits really well and adds like a nice little feature to not just the house, but this living room here that we're starting to work on. And I did want to put a fireplace. I originally wanted that really like big, extravagant fireplace that I think came with Parenthood? Or did it come with Seasons? I don't remember, but it's the really nice big one that's got like floor to ceiling, and it's got the mirror up top, I believe. But it was just too big for this house. It just overtook the entire house. So I got rid of it and went with the smaller little brick one instead. And oh my god, these little end tables that came in the free patch recently that like have the matching desk and that matching, oh, there it is, the bookshelf. I love this bookshelf so much. I was so excited when I saw this get added because it's just so stinking cute and I love it. So, and I love that it has the matching color with the coffee table and the fireplace and the wood on the couch, and it all just like goes together. I love it. I love the blue with the gray and white color scheme, and then having that like hint of brown thrown in for like a touch bit of warmth, even though it's still like a really cool tone brown. I just love how it looks together. And I originally did go with this navy blue wall, and I do eventually change it because I decided that it's too much blue, and I'd rather have the pop of color coming from the furniture than having the blue furniture and a blue wall, you know what I'm saying? So eventually that wall changes. The rock wall in that nook stays the same, but the wall color where it's navy blue, that changes. So right now I'm just adding a little bit of lighting. I do change that ceiling light fixture too because I think it's just a little bit too it almost just is a little bit too like retro looking for this. Like this whole build is very traditional, but like a modern kind of traditional, if that makes sense. I don't want it to look like an old farmhouse from decades and decades ago. I still like it to look a little bit more modern without it being just like crazy modern. I hope I'm making sense and not just like rambling like an idiot. But I always start, when I'm doing interiors, I always start with like the living room, because I think it's just the focal point of any house, and it just kind of lays the groundwork for how the rest of the house is gonna look. I mean, granted, bedrooms, you can do whatever you want with bedrooms because they're all like individual taste, but I like the main parts of a house. So you like your living room, your kitchen, your dining room, all to kind of have like a nice flow to them. Even if like they differ a little bit room to room, but I still kind of like them to mesh together. And the other reason I like to do that is because I like open concept houses. I don't like, unless you're doing like an old school Victorian kind of build where everything is really chopped up and it does have a lot of little small separated rooms and like little archways going room to room. I just think open concepts are so modern and so fresh, and I mean in real life I would love to have a more open concept house, because I just think that it's just so much, well, for starters, it makes a house look bigger on the inside when you don't have walls everywhere separating everything, you know? But I think it's just very fresh, and when you have people over and stuff, not that I socialize a whole lot, but when you have like people over and stuff, you don't want to be, you know, if you're entertaining, you don't want to be stuck in the kitchen away from everybody and like not being able to visit or hang out with them unless someone comes in the kitchen with you. So an open concept, you can be in a kitchen and still see and talk to people that are in the dining room or talk to people that are in the living room, you know? It's kind of just a little bit more easy to interact socially, if you will. Like I said, not that I do much of that, but I mean, if I had a more open concept house, maybe I would entertain more, but just kidding. Who are we kidding? I would not. I would just continue to hide in my house alone. Anyways, so I do this thing when I build where I do some of the outside and then I get bored and I move to the inside and do a little bit of the inside, and then I get bored and I move back out to the outside. So I kind of flip-flop back and forth quite a bit. So now we're moving on to the backyard, and I'm just building this little like back patio area. And I knew as soon as I started building this, I didn't want to cover it with a regular standard roof. So I decided to go with something a little bit more interesting, and my friend and I had the hardest time actually coming up with like what I'm doing here, what its proper term is. And we were just like struggling real hard trying to come up with a name. And eventually he thought of the word trellis. And I think that's right. We didn't really confirm it, but we just kind of like, we're like, yeah, trellis, that seems right. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do, because I wanted to kind of give the illusion of the back patio being covered without it actually being covered and not getting any, you know, sunlight through there. And then I just pulled it out a little bit more in the front because I thought the front part was just a little bit too thin the way it all lined up in one solid line there. So I just dragged it out a bit and then extended the trellis, if you will. And then I decided it would be kind of neat to throw some plants up in the top there, as if there's just like growth and overhang, I guess, kind of, just to kind of block it out a little bit so it's not so open, but it's still, you know, somewhat covered. And like, this took me a hot second because trying to, you know, manually raise the object and get it so that it's the right height and then placing it down, and it just kept like resetting the plants over and over again, and this was another little mini struggle here, but I think it came together really nice. And I've never actually done this kind of, I guess like porch setup before. I usually just would roof it with a normal roof. So I'm really proud of how this turned out. I think it's really pretty, and I think it would be actually really nice to sit under as well. You know, in the summer, like you just sit on the back deck and have a drink, or like have a barbecue and you just chill. And God, I have a central theme here apparently, and the theme is chilling. I just like have all these areas where a person could just hang out and do nothing. I'm noticing a pattern here. But now I'm just kind of throwing a garbage can back here and doing some other little decorations. We put a barbecue back here because obviously you need a barbecue. And then I put some seating just on the opposite side, a couple small chairs with a little, just an end table, I guess? Is that what you call it? I don't know. It's just a little end table with a plant on it. Whatever. Not a big deal. So yeah, and then that's kind of the little back area here. And I really like how it turned out. It makes me want to sit back there and, you know, just hang out and veg and like have a drink. And yeah, I really like how it turned out. I'll have to do that kind of trellis scenario a bit more. And back to what I was saying about getting bored with the outside and coming back to the inside. So now we're moving on to the kitchen, and this is another struggle right here because this kitchen had such a weird shape to it that it was so hard to figure out the countertop situation and like where I wanted to put it. And I knew I wanted to do like an island, but I didn't really want it right up against that wall there by the door, and I didn't want it extending too far into where the dining room is going and where the living room is. So it was just, and I obviously couldn't block that other door that's there because that goes to a bedroom. So I tried out my like standard island size, and that little cutout is usually where I would put a stove. And as you can see, it's just way too big. Like, it's way too big for the room. So I was like, okay, well, that option is out. So, and then I tried to mess around and I put it on that corner of the wall there, and I just didn't like how it looked. Like, something about it just looked strange and I wasn't a fan. So I moved it over, and then I was like, okay, well, now there's a gap like that no sim is gonna be able to fit through, so that's not gonna work. Then I put it right up there, and I'm like, no, now it's too far into the dining room. And this is the literal sim definition of struggle right here when in build mode. It's just figuring out a layout and how to make it work with what you want to do. And so what I eventually wound up doing was just putting this little small 2-tile island in. And I did put some countertops just along that other side too, because that's where the microwave and the coffee maker eventually go. Because there was obviously, like, I don't have very much counter space to work with here, so I have to make do with the space I've got and make sure I can still get in like the necessary appliances for a kitchen, right? So I mess around with this quite a bit, and I'm like, okay, well, I still have to put a fridge and a stove somewhere, so, and a sink. So I'm just kind of decorating without really thinking ahead at this point, because I was already just kind of a little annoyed with how the layout was coming. At this point it kind of starts to work and I kind of start to see the vision coming together, but then we start adding appliances in and changing it around again. But I do love building kitchens, don't get me wrong. I love building kitchens in The Sims. I think they're so much fun to build, and I love, 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 love a good kitchen. I cannot wait until I eventually redo my own house, because the kitchen is going to be so good. Like, so good, you don't understand. But yeah, see, like, now we get the fridge in here, and now, like, that floor-to-ceiling cupboard situation just looks weird, because, like, why would it be tucked into the corner like that? So we took it out, put some corners up there, and then here I am just kind of moving this 2-tile island around, because I didn't I didn't want it too far to the right because I was afraid Sims wouldn't be able to walk between it on that right side, but I didn't want it too far to the left because the fridge is there. So I kind of had to just manually shift it over to the left just a hair so it's a little bit more centered and Sims should be able to walk around it on both sides. I did play test this house after I had finished building it just to make sure everything was going to work smoothly and properly, and I believe that spot is okay. See, here's where I shifted over. And I think they can walk around on both sides, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, if not, you could always shift it over to the left a tiny bit more and still have plenty of room to walk over to where the fridge is. And in the process of looking for kitchen clutter, I inevitably got distracted and was like, oh look, front entrance clutter. So now I'm putting a coat rack and a shoe rack and of course the little umbrella holder right by the front door, putting a nice little like rug when you first walk in. And then back to the kitchen we go. I cannot stay focused on any one area until it's done for the life of me, I swear to God. So yeah, now I'm just putting in some little accessories and I'm trying not to put in too many on the countertops because I was worried that there wouldn't be enough space and they wouldn't be able to actually cook food, because you do actually need one empty tile at least somewhere for them to be able to cook, otherwise they'll find somewhere else in the house to do it and it's just weird. And I really, really love these pot racks. Like, these are base game and I still use them all the time. I just love how they look. I love that like pop of copper kind of color in an all gray kind of toned room. And I just love the subway tile on the wall. I love subway tile. I want them to add another kind of subway tile wall texture that's like this but with longer, skinnier tiles and black grout, because it just looks so clean and so sharp and I love it. And anyways, here is where I changed the color of the wall to something more neutral, because I changed it in the dining area and a little bit in the front entrance, and then I was looking at it and I was like, huh, I wonder if I should just put that in the living room as well. And I did kind of mess around with the swatch of it in the living room just to see what it looked like before I painted it, and I did end up liking it and switching it, obviously. So that's coming up again because I got distracted, and here I am back in the kitchen just throwing more accessories and stuff down as per usual. But yeah, that's pretty much like the basic layout of the kitchen. I'm just kind of decorating and stuff in there now. Now this is a dining area, and I love having a dining area that has just huge windows around it. Like, look how gorgeous that looks. There's so much natural sunlight coming in there. It just looks so warm and so cozy and so inviting, and it's just like, imagine having a nice little cup of coffee and, you know, your breakfast sitting by those windows looking outside on a gorgeous summer day. Like, come on now. It looks so good. And I don't even really like covering up those windows with curtains that much. I try to keep them as open as possible because I just love how it looks with all that sun coming in. But with the dining area, we kind of kept the table with that same kind of wood tone that's in the living room, and I kept the matching chairs that match the bar stools, the same color and everything. And I love those like woven rugs that came with laundry day. I love those so much. I use them in like every build at least once. And I do actually put curtains here. I know I said I try not to cover it up with a bunch of curtains, but I love these curtains with this whole dining area set up, and I did leave the other windows there curtain free just to allow for as much light as possible. And I put some plants in there because I love having greenery all over the house as much as I can without it looking like a jungle. And again, bouncing back to the kitchen, throwing some more decor here and there. Just making some final touches as I stumble on items in the buy mode grid there. And then I noticed this little like corner wall, and I was just like, you know, that doesn't look right. It's just like wasted space, because what am I gonna put there? I might as well just make it square so that the fridge just looks more tucked in and then I'll just put like a garbage can there. So that's kind of what I did, and I like how it looks a lot better. That angled wall was just like, it just looked super weird and out of place. So I like how this looks a lot better, and I'm just trying to figure out something to put on this wall here. This took way too long. I'm too picky about wall art, honestly. I'm way too picky about wall art. And then I did put a pet food dish there, and I believe I put a pet bed, just one of the small ones there beside it too. Oh yeah, see what I mean? The neutral wall there looks so much better. At least in my opinion, I like it a lot better than the navy blue. Putting lighting in the kitchen because I realized I hadn't done that yet, and changing the lighting for the front entrance, just keeping it like pretty basic. I didn't want anything to be like too crazy extravagant with the ceiling lighting everywhere, except for above the dining room table. That was a special, like, you know, what do they call it? A conversation piece. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It was more, I wanted it to be more of like a conversation piece light fixture there above the dining room table, because I just thought it looked really nice in that spot. And yeah, I did put a pet bed there beside the food dish, and I realized after I had like watched all this back, I was like, I didn't put a litter box or anything like that if you wanted to have a cat. So I did go back after, and I put a litter box outside on the back patio, just a basic litter box. I mean, obviously if you were to download this house, you can make whatever changes you want. You don't have to keep it the way it is, obviously. And I will link my Origin in the description box if you want to go find this house and download it and put it in your game, just in case, you know, help people out. So yeah, and now I'm kind of adding this little half wall by the entrance because I wanted to just separate the entrance area from the living room a little bit more, instead of just like, you know, walking in through the door and like, bam, on your right, there's living room. Like, I wanted to have a little bit of a break there. So I put just like one tile of half wall, and what I like to do is at the very end of it is put one of those pillars, and it just kind of makes like a nice little gap that you can still see through, but it gives the illusion that there's a full wall there. At least, like, to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird. But I really like how it looked, and then it gave me an extra tile of wall space, so I put another of those side tables with one of those blue lamps that was already in the living room there, just to kind of complete that wall. And I really like how it looked, and I was really glad I came up with that, because it just, something about that just looked off and it was bothering me. And now I'm just like tweaking random decor here and there, and I changed the garbage can because I was just like, so that one's too small. It's too small for that area, so we put a slightly bigger one in. And now moving on to the backyard. I kept the backyard pretty simple. I didn't have room anywhere to put a laundry machine set up anywhere in this house. I mean, like I said, if you wanted to put this house in, you would rather have laundry machines than a tub and a clothesline. You could, you know, add on a couple tiles of space somewhere and throw in laundry machines, but I just did like a clothesline and a wash tub because I don't really use those items very much, and they are actually pretty cute, so I went with that instead. And I also realized that I had forgotten to add a clothing hamper to this lot somewhere. I did go back and add one in the bedroom after I had recorded this, but I mean, just fair note, you would need to put a laundry hamper in your build should you download this lot. But as far as the backyard goes, I just took the trees that are in the front yard and put them in the backyard because I really liked how they look. Put a bird feeder out there, just did a little bit of pathing coming off of that patio, some nice little flowers. I didn't do anything like too crazy. I just wanted to keep it simple so that, you know, it could be customized later, whether you wanted to put a pool or a swing set or, you know, whatever the case may be. If you want to change it later, it's not crazy difficult to change. It's just a matter of maybe moving things around or removing something or whatever. But yeah, I really like how the backyard came out. I just put some planter boxes back here so they would have lots of sunshine along that back fence. And yeah, that's it for the backyard. So moving back in again, this is the main bedroom, and like I said, I did play test this. So your Sims can get to both sides of the bed there. I know it's like really tightly squeezed into that nook there, but your Sims can get to both sides of the bed. And I put a closet in. I was gonna put a dresser, but I was like, no, I really want that new desk that came in that patch. So I had to use that and put a desk in here. So I used a closet instead. And I'm just kind of shuffling it around. I'm pretty sure Sims can definitely sit at the desk, and I'm pretty sure they can still use the closet because they really only use that right side door of the closet anyways. Oh, and there's that end table I love that matches the desk. Oh, I love them so much. And again, I'm kind of keeping the same color scheme that's in the rest of the house in the bedroom with those cool tone grays and the pop of blue and the white. I just love how clean and fresh it looks, and it's still got color without it being like in your face color, if that makes sense. So now I'm just like decorating the desk, and that's the new laptop, the new pencil cubby, and that new pile of books that also came with the free patch that had the end tables and the desk. And I love those items so much. That pencil holder, I never thought I would be so excited about a pencil holder, but when you've been using the same base game pencil holder for so long with like the little, what is it, a teddy bear eraser topper on the one pencil. You play The Sims, you know what I'm talking about, but oh my god, it's so nice to have an adult pencil cubby. I love it. Anyways, so I'm just throwing some curtains here behind the bed, and finding some art and a clock to put on the walls and just give some decor to this room. I really love that mirror above that end table. I just think that looks so cute. And then with the little cat sculpture with the plant growing out of it, I think it's so adorable. And I start with this painting and then I eventually change it because I don't like that painting. Super picky. I really love that series of drawings on like the old school paper. I love that so much. I use it. It's another one of those items I use in builds all of the time. And then, yeah, I'm just kind of finding some new stuff in this corner. I do put a plant here in the recording, and eventually after I had finished recording and I realized that there wasn't a laundry hamper on this lot, that's actually the same spot I put the laundry hamper after. So, and it does fit there, and Sims, I believe, can get to it. So, I'm just finishing up some decor. Yeah, I swapped out that painting for this, I don't even know what that is, a blanket? Just a wall hanging blanket type thing, but I'm pretty sure that came with Jungle Adventure, I think. And then I love this light fixture. I use these light fixtures all the time too, and I believe those came with spa day or fitness stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's one of the two. I think it might actually be fitness stuff. But I love those light fixtures so much, and the 3 different length variations that they come in are so handy. But yeah, now we're moving on to just the main bathroom, and again, same thing with like the kitchen. I like it to be very white and very clean looking, so we've got the subway tile on the wall with more white tile on the floor, and all the fixtures are white and blue, and I think it just looks very clean. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, it's a bathroom. It doesn't need to be anything like super extravagant and over the top, at least not to me. But I really love that tub shower combo with that shower curtain. I thought that was a really nice addition to the game, and I think that's a Parenthood tub too. And all the shower curtain variations it comes in are really cute. So yeah, we're just decorating the bathroom here, adding some hand towels over here. We got a garbage can, we got a big towel, threw a painting on the wall, we got a bath mat on the floor. I love that mirror too, with like the lighted ring and how the light can actually be different colors. I think it's so pretty. I love it. So we made it blue to match the shower curtain a little bit and just keep the bathroom a little bit cohesive at least. And I really love how it looks. And then we just chucked this cute little painting over here. But yeah, guys, that is the build. Here are some screenshots I will show, and if you like this house, I will link it in the description box, my Origin, so you can go and download it if you want. Please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Let me know what you think of this speed build. I would love to know and read your guys' comments. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.